Good morning, everyone. We're going to get started shortly here. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today's demonstration will be a two-part type of presentation. We're going to be doing the first half as a software overview as a webinar. You should be seeing my screen right now. It's a blue presentation screen. It says from art to finish. If you're not seeing that, please go to the bottom right corner of your screen. There's a button there, and make sure that it's selected as screen share. Again, this first part of the presentation will be me going through the software. We're going to create some jobs together. I'm going to send it over to a printer in our office. We're going to print those out. And once we do that, we're then going to switch over to a live video demonstration. We have in our offices, in the same offices I'm in now, we have a Aerocut Prime. We're going to take those jobs that we print out together, and we're going to cut them and finish them on the Aerocut Prime. So again, you should be seeing my screen right now. We are automatically suppressing all your microphones if you are logged into the call or doing audio on your computer. Those are muted. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, there is a chat box on the bottom left corner of your screen. Our moderators are reviewing that as we go through the presentation. It's also a great place to input and collect your questions that we'll be addressing at the end of the call. Any questions that you type in there will be addressed at the end of the call. So I highly recommend putting any questions that you have in the bottom left corner. And if you're having any technical difficulties with the presentation, please put those there as well. All right, I'm going to get started. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Welcome to today's Art to Finish live webinar demonstration for the Intellicut software for the NBM Aerocut cutter line. That's the Aerocut Velocity and Aerocut Prime. The intention of today's presentation is to show you the entire start to finish, or as we call it, the Art to Finish workflow process. Everything that you need to have an efficient and workflow-driven system that's implemented into your offices is provided with you when you purchase the Aerocut Velocity or Prime. We include a robust software solution that's intended to literally make the process as streamlined and efficient as possible. The only thing that you need to bring to the table to ever do a job that you would provide yourself is customer's artwork for the jobs that you're going to be cutting. So that's why we call it the Art to Finish process. Intellicut software comes included at no additional charge to with the Aerocut Velocity and the Aerocut Prime. That software is paid for when you purchase the machine, and it does not increase the list price of the machines at all. And it is not an upsell or an upcharge whatsoever. There are no optional add-ons to get more value or more features in the software. When you purchase an Aerocut Velocity or Prime at the base list price, you get the purchase price of the software, which is a $3,500 value, and you get a 1 year of annual licensing, which is a $1,000 value. So $4,500 of software included with the purchase of these machines. That is completely unique to the Aerocut line. If you're looking at other slitter cutter creasers, those are always very expensive upcharges for software that was not built for the machines themselves. So that's why you see in the top right corner of the screen here, we've won a number of awards. We're an industry leader and innovator in creating a software specifically for a piece of finishing equipment. This Intellicut software is only sold for the Aerocut Velocity and Prime and is built from the ground up, utilizing our long history of variable data software and imposition software to create jobs that are specific for an operator of a Velocity or Prime. That in and of itself is kind of the main value piece, in addition to getting these robust variable data and imposition tools on the Intellicut software. Because we know how you're going to finish, and because we know very well the Aerocut's regulations and rules, we take out all the guesswork, we take out all the inefficiency. If you're looking at any slitter cutter creaser, the main stumbling block or inefficiency in the workflows is getting the communication between pre-press and graphic design to sync up with the way that the cutter works. All of these cutters have multiple blades that are working in concert with one another, and so they have very strict regulations on how the jobs can be cut and formatted. So oftentimes what that means is you have a back and forth between two different departments. You have all these rules that need to be met and designed in graphic design, and then you have to have the operators ensure that those rules have been met when they're entering in the settings, and then they have to figure out all those settings themselves. So we wanted to eliminate all of that inefficiency Intellicut, if you see number 1 here on the diagram, Intellicut software lives on any computer in the office because the Aerocut, another very unique feature of the Aerocut is that it has an Ethernet port on the back of it. And it connects to your local the controller of the machine as long as they're both on the plugged into the office network. So your graphic designers are working at their own desk, creating the layouts through the Intellicut software, telling them exactly how to create compatible layouts. They're then doing 2 and 3 simultaneously. They're automatically sending them over to the printer when they create a PDF print file. That's what our software does. It's a PDF creation tool that does imposition and variable data. So our software is creating a PDF for printing, and it's simultaneously programming the Aerocut with every single setting. Because everything's done in graphic design, we tell the Aerocut what to do. In our workflow with the Aerocut, the operators of the machine are doing nothing but picking up print from a printer and feeding it into the airsheet feeder. From there, they never have to program the machine. They never have to touch the screen on the machine. Everything's programmed already. They scan a barcode and they walk away. Because all of that was done in pre-press, the operators are now able to do more. They're able to spend their time while the Aerocut's running. They're able to spend their time doing doing other work and being more efficient. So this whole system was built intentionally for a sequential and workflow-driven workflow, essentially. So we wanted everything to be as efficient as possible. Today we're going to be going through a number of templates. We just want to do a holistic overview of everything that the Aerocut can do and all of the types of jobs that that are possible in the Aerocut. What's nice is that the Intellicut software has no limitations. It can do any job that the Aerocut can cut. You design by hand visually in the Intellicut software with our what we call a smart workflow, smart layout assistant. That's that technology I was talking about before, where we know very well all the rules. All you do, and you'll see here in a second here, is you simply say the paper size you're printing on, the cut size that you're cutting down to, and then you draw on your creases and your perfs if you have them. With those few pieces of information, we program the Aerocut, we take your artwork, we create a PDF, and we're good to go. The Aerocut has 3 different types of templates that are saved in its memory. It has 180 preset templates already in its memory day 1. That's another really nice feature. I've worked with other slitter cutter creasers, and you open those up, you install them, and they have 0 jobs. Everything from there is just, if you want to do it, figure out how to program it. Aerocut comes with 180 popular US-based cut sizes on US-based paper sizes. So you have 180 memory slots already inside of the machine and inside of the Intellicut software. You get 100 additional memory slots for Manuset templates. Those are essentially your custom templates, paper size, cut size, and that and it creates a layout, and you program 100 additional slots of your own. And then you get 50 additional slots for Flexmode. These are the most complex types of jobs. Essentially, these are jobs that are using either cuts that are not the same sizes. So if you are doing a cut piece of a ticket here and a postcard here, all in the same piece, you can manually control every single cut that occurs. They're also for more complex things like jump perfing, cross perfing, perfs that don't go throughout the entire page, perfs that jump through the middle of the page, more advanced features that are particularly for the Aerocut Prime. If you want to learn more about Flexmode, I would highly recommend going back to our lightrodlive.com website, and we have a session that specifically talks about the advanced features, how to create Flexmode, what Flexmode can do. Today we're going to just very briefly touch on that. We're going to load a job, and we want to show you guys how it cuts in all 3 types of templates. The other thing we're going to not talk about very much today is variable data. Our software, LightRod software, in fact, started as a variable data company. We have over 30 years experience in variable data, and that all of those features are built into the Intellicut software as standard. So you can do addressing, robust barcoding. Another thing that's very nice about variable data is that we know exactly how it's going to finish and stack. So all you do is feed in variable data. We have a number of ways you can do that. And whatever order your data is in is how it's going to cut and stack without you having to make any manual settings yourself. Simply feed in your data file or feed in your PDF pages of variable data, and we will make sure that they cut and stack in the order they're brought in. That is another thing that we're going to not talk about today as much, but is, I believe, on week 2 of the Electron Live sessions. Go and watch that if you want more information. They're all on our YouTube channel as well. We really deep dive how variable data works, how you lay out variable data, addressing for mail merge and things like that, and go into that in more detail. Again, if you have any questions, please do go to the chat box in the bottom left corner. We'll be addressing those at the end of the call, but we really want to make sure we collect those now so you don't forget about them before we get to the question and answer section. I'm going to be closing out the presentation now, and we're going to hop into the Intellicut software. Again, you get a single license seat installed on any computer in the office. It communicates to the Aerocut through local area network, included entirely with the purchase of the machine. This is a fully fledged, no restrictions or higher tier add-ons for features, anything like that. Software, it's an entire, it's a full-fledged imposition and variable data tool with a list price of $4,500. We're going to click on New Job here. And before I do that, I did want to also mention that generally this is installed on either pre-press or graphic design. It does not have to be in the same room as the Aerocut because all it's doing is sending out a PDF to the printer. So if you're on this network with your printer and you're on your network with your Aerocut, you're able to do whatever you need to do. A lot of my users are not even in the same floor. They're on a different floor of the print center. So we're going to select New Job. And in doing that, we're now presented with our template list. Now, again, as you remember, I was talking about the 180 preset templates. If this is your very first time in using Intellicut, you open it up, install it, you click on New Job, you are already going to have all 180 preset templates for you right there. I'm going to bring over my preview window here on my other monitor. When I select a template, whether it's a preset, custom, Manuset, Flexmode, any template that I have, I can get a preview of what that's going to look like when I select it. So I just, that's another new feature. We are continually adding updates and continuing to develop the software. So this is something they added just recently. I really like this feature. You get a sense for what you're doing. Make sure you have the right template selected. It even shows creases and perfs and things like that. All right, the first job we're going to be creating today is our 5x7 postcard, which is a standard preset template. That makes sense. It's a very commonly cut postcard size in the United States. So it would make sense that that would be a preset template. That was the idea when they created this library of 180 jobs, is what are the most frequently utilized cut sizes by our customers in the United States. They have a separate series of preset templates for metric templates as well. But in the United States, they came up with the most frequently utilized jobs. So we're looking at 2x3.5 business cards for all the paper sizes, 4x6 postcards, 5x7 postcards, table tent cards, 8.5x11, 2-up, things like that are highly utilized by customers in the United States. I'm going to go to 12x18 paper. I'm going to keyword search to 5x7 to find my template. There it is. I'm going to select it here. I could do one-sided or two-sided. We're going to just do a one-sided postcard for today's demonstration. And now I have a couple more settings, and then I'm ready to bring in my artwork. So again, this is the first time I've ever used the software. Find my template. We're going to do this screen, which is essentially clicking bleed on. And I'm actually going to also change the orientation. When I do that, you see the preview changes as well. And what this is doing is it's not changing the print file or the layout in any way at all. It's just making it so that when I bring in my artwork, I don't have to rotate it. In this case, my artwork for postcard is actually portrait. Most of the time it's landscape. That's why it defaults to that orientation. But in this case, it's portrait, so I'm going to change that. I'm going to press finish. So essentially, to create your very first job in the Aerocut, you find your template after installing this software. Press bleed on, and now we bring in our artwork. Go to import image. These other two buttons are very important as well, but these three are your main ways to bring in your artwork. Today, we're just doing image, which is what most people are doing 85, 90% of the time. And that's just a single image that's multied up, the same image multied up on the page, as we see here. So I have this one image, and I go to preview. You'll see now I have that same image 4 times on the page. These other two buttons are for variable data. So if I had different postcards in a single PDF file, I could use PDF page and that would bring in, let's say I had 200 postcards that already had addresses on. I would just click this, find my 200-page PDF, and I would order that multi-different pages each time on the page. Recipient list is bringing in a data file. But import image is what we did today, and that's just bringing in one image file, either 1 or 2 pages for a front side and a back side, and creating the PDF, which is most of the time what people are doing. I've done that. I'm going to create my PDF. I'm going to, it actually automatically opens it in Adobe when you do that. I have that setting on. You can see that's all I did. I didn't have to do any special settings to add the barcode or the alignment mark in the right spot. I didn't have to do anything to add my crop marks where they needed to go. Everything was automatic for me based on what the Aerocut needs, and with the appropriate spacing and everything like that. So all I would do now, and this is what most customers are doing every day, they're opening the software, finding the template, bringing artwork, pressing print. We're going to send this to our Xerox C60. That's now being printed. They're picking it up and scanning a barcode. This is a preset template, so no communication needed to be done with the Aerocut whatsoever. It's already in our software's memory. It's already in the Aerocut's memory. So we would just print this out, scan a barcode, and walk away. We're now going to create a custom template. This is a little more advanced, right? This is a template where you look at the library and you say, actually, the specs on this job are not already in the library. Whenever you create a custom template, it adds it to the bottom of your list. Obviously, the idea is that when you create a custom template one time, for all intents and purposes, the second time, it's like a preset template. It's already saved in your library in Intellicut, and it's already saved in your Aerocut's memory. Remember your Aerocut has 100 memory slots at any given time for custom templates. So it's going to be in both places, and you just find it, add your artwork, create a PDF, and you're ready to go. But the first time, you do need to create a custom template. It's always the first option in your template list. So you just select that, press next. We're going to name our template. Before I do that, though, I want to ensure that I'm saving this in one of the memory slots that's available. So if I press select from list, I'm going to query the Aerocut. I'm in an office with a prime as we speak. Through the network, what I just did was talk to the Aerocut, and I now have the software giving me a list. This is a live snapshot of the Aerocut's memory. So instead of having to go out of my desk or keep a separate spreadsheet, a lot of customers had to do this before they asked us to create this feature. We just get a live snapshot. I see that slot number 32 is vacant. Perfect. And that's the last thing, the only thing that I had to do to make sure that a barcode worked. Because now we're going to create barcode number 32, and this job is when we create add our PDF and create our print file. And we're saving this into slot number 32. So all you had to do to make sure that the Aerocut is going to scan and cut appropriately, and you're not overwriting a template you're using already, you just select from list and find a vacant slot. I'm going to name this project something that's easy for me to find later, because again, when I do this job next time, I'm going to probably just keyword search it. So in this case, I'm going to say 12 by 18 paper with a 5.25 by 4 creased card job. So we're actually going to add a crease to this job, but I like to just have paper size, cut size, maybe add some additional information if necessary, maybe say bleed or something like that. That's just going to help me find it in the list and the keyword search later. Here we just do the specifications. The first section up here is for the paper we're printing on. I'm going to say 12 by 18. I'm then going to do the cut size, which is 5.25 cut size by 4. And you'll see as I make these changes, you'll see actually that the preview is updating live. Really new, another new nice feature that I really like, especially here, because what this allows me to do is kind of do experimentation. What if I do 13 by 19 paper? What if I rotate it to landscape? You know, which one's going to give me the most up on the page with the least amount of paper waste? So you can kind of do a quick, and again, what's very, very helpful is that all you're just entering in the base specifications, and we are automatically ensuring they meet the Aerocut requirements. Nothing you do in this software will ever be out of Aerocut compatibility. We will always tell you if the job you're trying to do doesn't meet the requirements. We'll make suggestions. Maybe you should use a smaller, larger paper size, maybe make an orientation, maybe rotate the paper, things like that. But you're never having to do any calculations. This is the very first feature that we added when we created this software for the Aerocut, because people were spending, and they still do, I think, on other slitter cutter creasers, inordinate amounts of times getting familiar with all the rules, ensuring that their graphic designers knew exactly how to meet the rules, and then ensuring that they figured out how to program those in the machine. And from what I hear, the process generally was create the layout, hope that it meets the rules, measure everything out, put it into the machine. Usually you get an error because you missed something. You send it back to pre-press, and you do that back and forth until it works. Here, there's no risk of that, right? We put in the paper size, we put in the cut size, it automatically meets all the rules, and we save that template into the software. Now, it assumes that we want to create a PDF, which we do, but before we do that, we want to add our crease and we want to program the Aerocut. Now, if you weren't creasing or perfing, at this point, you're just ready to send it right to the Aerocut because all finishing steps are done, right? We know exactly how the card's laid out. We know exactly where the cards are going to be placed on the page. Since we're doing the imposition, we'd be ready to send it over to the Aerocut. If I go to the preview, you'll see that this is exactly how, what's being done. In fact, I want to zoom in because normal imposition softwares would just center this on the page, equal margins, left, right, middle, and walk away, right? The Aerocut is a very specific middle cut margin requirement, 0.275 automatically met for us. It's got some very specific bottom margins and first cut from the bottom as well. So those are those automatic rule applications that have been applied for us. I'm going to add my artwork because I like to draw my crease. I like to draw my crease before I, here it is, with the artwork on the background. That way I can actually see exactly where my crease is going and make sure that it lines up with the artwork. So I add my artwork, I go back to preview, I select add crease on the home tab. Everything you need is almost always on the home tab. And I'm just going to draw it one time. I'm actually going to zoom in so I make sure that I'm drawing it correctly. And I'm just going to draw it one time right where I want it to go. I can make changes to this later, but you'll see when I add my crease once, it does it to all rows. So it's here, it's on all 4 rows. Now, I'm a little off, so let me zoom in even more. I'm going to highlight my crease. I'm going to use my arrow keys on my keyboard. And I only needed 1 arrow key, and it looks perfect to me now. And I'm done. So that's a way to visually add your crease. If you know the measurement from the top, you can also select configure and just type it in. I'm actually 0.01 inches off, so I'm going to just press 2. I know it's 2 inches from the top. This is a 4-inch table tent card height, so we want it right in the middle. And that's it. 2 more steps to do. I have to print this out. I also still have to program the Aerocut. Program the Aerocut is as easy as possible, I would imagine. You simply select paper cuts here. Paper cut scissors. We press send to Aerocut, and now it saves it into slot number 32. So it's done. We'll create our PDF for printing, and we're good to go. Now, one thing I would like to point out, this is another huge feature request we had. Actually, before we even had the integration with the direct connection, this was the first thing one of the other first things that we added. If you're ever needing to program the Aerocut by hand, if your network connection is down or you're not in the same office for whatever reason, you can screenshot this. What this is this is what the screen of the Aerocut looks like when you need to program in a template by hand, obviously with no numbers filled in. So we actually give you that exact screenshot. We fill out all the numbers for you. People print this out or they take a screenshot with their phone and they walk over and they plug that in when their network connection is down. So even if you don't have a network connection, programming the Aerocut does not require any measuring, no risk of errors. Everything's provided for you. We don't need to worry about that. We program the Aerocut ourselves through the network. I'm going to save this. I'm going to print it. And now the last thing I want to show you, I'm going to just send this over to the printer. Now let's say another customer comes in with the same paper size, or same paper and cut size, and I want to create this job again. So because we created this manual custom template once, like I was saying before, you go to new job. It's now at the bottom of our list. I can actually show you the preview of what we just did, exactly what we created. And I would just press next, press finish, and I would add my artwork and I'd be done. So the idea is it's a few more steps the first time you create a custom card, but from there on out, find your template, add your artwork, create your PDF, send it to the printer. Super efficient system, minimal amount of effort. The very last job I'm going to do is a Flexmode. We're not going to create this one from scratch. What I want to do is I'm going to actually go to our website, and I want to show you this. We just want to take the opportunity to show you our shared communal library. So if you go to our library, you go to Demo Center, Demonstration Files. You select Intellicut Aerocut Prime or Intellicut Aerocut Velocity, depending on device you have. Click on what paper you want to print on. In this case, we're going to do 12 by 18. You have all these templates available for you. You can always print out a print file. For presets, you just print these out and scan the barcodes because they're already in the machine's memory. But for Manuset and Flexmode, we give you these zip files. These are archives. These are given to us by customers that had unique layouts that they really enjoyed. They submitted to them to add them to our library. And what these archives do, they were created by Intellicut to share. So you can create an archive very easily in the software, and then you can bring in an archive very easily in the software. So what I'll do is I'm going to bring in one of our favorite Flexmode jobs. I'm going to just download this zip file. And then when I do that, I'm going to go back into the software. I'm going to say Open Archive, find that zip file, and that's it. I have the job ready. I'm ready to create the PDF. I'm ready to send it to the printer, and I'm ready to program my Aerocut. Because this is a custom template, I still do just need to go to Paper Cuts. I can select from list a vacant slot in my library. 111, I'm good with that. And now I just send to the Aerocut, and it's programmed. So even though this is a job I didn't do before, I like this layout and I want to create it myself. I'm just going to delete the artwork that was there already, add my own artwork. We do tell you the exact specifications so you can create artwork yourself and create your PDF and print it out. Now I want to show you exactly what this application is because it's really unique and you're going to see it cut in a second here. If I go to the preview, you see it a little better. This is a 3-crease table tent card, self-standing card, usually done. This was actually submitted to us by a restaurant. But it's generally done by, anyone who has information they want to place at a table. You see we have a crease here, here, and here. Well, we have a middle crease at the top for the table tent. We have 2 bottom fold creases that create flaps on the top and the bottom of the card. This is a 2-up card, so we're creating 2 at once. And we have the jump perfs, which are unique to the Flexmode, which is creating a slit, a self-standing slit on the top. We crease that out or perf that out. We have a jump perf on the bottom. And so what you can imagine is you have 2 folds that have slits at the bottom and the top that align with each other and create that self-standing card. We're going to print this out and cut it, but we did want to show you that. Creating this by hand is a little more complex with Flexmode because you do have to enter in every cut and crease. That's what Flexmode is. It's just giving you the ability to create custom templates that are not the same size by controlling where every single cut is. In this case, these are the same size, but we're utilizing the jump perf capabilities. We go through creation of this specific job in very great detail on week 3, I believe, of the lightrodlive.com session. So if you want to deep dive into that, all those recordings are on YouTube or on our lightrodlive.com website. You can see how we created this one. All right, I'm done. I printed out 3 jobs. I have programmed the Aerocut for the Manuset and the Flexmode job, and so I'm ready to, we're going to hand this over to our live video session. They're going to take these jobs on the printer, the ones that we just did today together. You saw how easy they were to create, and we're going to print them out. Well, they're already printed, and we're going to take them over to the cutter, and we're going to scan the barcodes and watch them be finished. In Uber Conference, it's not too hard. What I'm going to need you to do is go to the bottom left corner of the screen. Sorry, bottom right corner of the screen, and you're going to select the button that says, should say, I believe, screen share right now. You're going to want to change that to grid. When you change it to grid, you should see one of the videos available says Aerocut Prime, and you'll see video feed of an Aerocut. There's 3 dots on the bottom left corner. Select those and select Pin Video. Nothing's going to happen right now when you do that, but once you pin your video, go back to the bottom right corner and change it from grid to dynamic, and that will create the video that you just pinned full screen. So go to grid, see the video that says Aerocut Prime, 3 dots, pin video, back to grid, change it to dynamic. If you have any problems with that at all, chat with us, please, and we'll walk you through it. But you want to make sure you're seeing a Aerocut right now with some orange banners in the background. All right, thank you so much. I'm going to hand it over to Karen, who's going to do the live video.
Thank you, Zach. Okay, great. Well, we're going to now step over to the Aerocut so that we can walk through the applications that were just created in the Intellicut software. What we're going to be talking about are the 3 different modes of the Aerocut. The 3 applications are a Manuset application, as you saw built, which will create standard 5x7 postcards. A Manuset application that is a small tabletop card showing the placement of a crease onto a standard size multi-ep piece. And the final is a Flexmode job. And what makes this a Flexmode job, and you can do a lot of complicated things in Flexmode. Stops, starts, and stops again, forming a self-locking mechanism. It's a very creative piece, as Zach pointed out, by one of our customers that created bar stands. And what's great about the library that you just saw is we upload very unique applications that customers have given us permission so that you can take those designs, add your own artwork like we did here. So what I'm going to do is have the camera person take the camera so that we can see the Aerocut screen. And let me move these to the side so that we can get a good idea of how the Aerocut works. The Aerocut is a cut sheet slitter cutter creaser. And so you have an input tray that is located here. That tray is adjustable to any size paper by the use of these magnetic bars that offer perfect alignment into the tray. We went over some detail on tips and tricks of how to get accurate cutting in a video called Installation Best Practices, and you can see that on our Light Rod Live site for more detail. This is the operator interface. This used to be a very critical part of the process prior to the Intellicut software. In order to start a job or program a job, you would need to go into the various modes. The preset mode, as Zach pointed out, is fantastic. This is a huge advantage. Hundreds of templates already pre-programmed into the machine. Without having a barcode on the page, you would need to manually select through the paper size and the different templates in order to start and adjust the machine prior to the first sheet being fed in. The beauty of Intellicut is on all those hundreds of standard templates, when you create them, we automatically place the barcode here. In this case, barcode number 344, and that will tell the cutter, without any interface from the operator, it will automatically read that and adjust to a 12x18, cutting perfectly on the Aerocut page. The second mode is the Manuset mode. Again, serving 2 purposes, either reading in a template, but also to program a template. So you can see the complication in having to program a template, picking all the cut sizes, making sure that all of the specifications, margin minimums and maximums are all met. Very tedious process on any slitter cutter creaser to create. Or you can use the Light Rod Smart Layout Assistant. In Manuset mode, each of the pieces do need to be of equal size. As we saw here, you just, Zach programmed in the page size, the card size. It figured out the perfect dimension, the perfect layout. And then he simply said, place a crease here, and it automatically programs in the creases into the machine. So a very simple way, in just a matter of 30 or 40 seconds, to program a layout that would be quite complex to program into the machine. And the final mode is the Flex mode. Flex mode, again, oh gosh, it just has hundreds of parameters that you can program in to do just all kinds of interesting functions. And so I'm going to go back into a preset mode because I'd like for you to see how it will auto adjust with the barcode. And in any case, all of the programming functionality is quite complex on the machine itself, made simple by Intellicut. Just even something as simple as programming in, let's see, where's that final sheet? Programming in the little jump purse, lots of measurements, and then figuring out how to program that, very, very simple with Intellicut. When an operator is using the machine with applications that all have barcodes already programmed in, they can simply just run the jobs, right, all in a big stack. And that's what I've done here. There's a couple of options that you do need to set, and I don't know if we can get a better view on that here, but we have the job change option. Job change, there's actually a few options here. Use my right hand. We have barcode off, meaning you're going to manually set the machine. We have barcode check. This means I want if the barcode changes to a different layout, I want the machine to stop so that I can readjust, maybe add the business card drop holders, or maybe some other, I want to adjust the input trays. For this demonstration, I'm going to go to the third one, which is barcode job change. If you see the barcode change, just go ahead and set the machine up for the next one and just keep cutting. I put 3 applications of each in. I'm going to program my total quantity to 9 and hit enter. So it'll have 3 of 3 pages. The other option, I guess I didn't explain, I think Zach covered this, is the cut mark. The cut mark is an OMR mark that is put onto the page. If you have cut mark on and you have a cut mark properly positioned as Intellicut positions it on the PDF, then what this does is it measures the first cut from the top of the cut mark to the first cut. Why this is important is because as you're feeding a sheet-fed printer, there might be some little bit adjustment page to page as it images. So you might have a little bit of shift as you're printing. So if you typically measure from the top of the page to the first cut, you may be off. But if the image shifts at all, of course, this little mark will shift, and now the accuracy will be based on the mark as opposed to the edge of the paper. We go ahead and hit our set command, and it lowers the tray. And now we click start, which will raise the tray. And let me go ahead and reset. We have the adjustment here. And this will give me an opportunity to review a couple of things I forgot to review before. What I wanted to take a look at was the perforating unit. This is the one thing you do have to manually adjust. So when you program in the job, and I think Zach showed you this, as you're saving it, it tells you the values of where to place the perforating unit. So in this case, it was 4 or 3.8 and 8.2, and I actually put little arrows here so I would know where to adjust mine for the jobs that we're demonstrating. And now you just do that by simply moving the little handle and adjusting back and forth. There is also it's a little hard to see in the video, but a little white unit at the bottom, a little plastic unit that puts pressure on the perfing. And if you want to know more about how to adjust the perf unit, we have a whole video on our YouTube site that shows you exactly how to do that. So the other thing I wanted to point out while we had the camera over here is the light beam that reads the barcode. So it will read the barcode, and if there's a change, it will actually back the sheet out, adjust, and then feed. I'm often asked, because other systems work this way, the Aerocut does not. Does it stop if on every sheet? It does not. If you have a barcode on every sheet and it notices that it's already been set up, it just keeps going. It does not stop. So I was confused at first when customers asked, can you only put the barcode on the first sheet? Until I found out other manufacturers of slitter cutter creasers literally stop the machine if it ever sees a barcode, regardless if it's the same or not. So that's yet another advantage. Okay, let's go ahead and get that job started. Take a look here. And you see how it backed it out. It's making some adjustments on this end. And now the second sheet, you see how it just doesn't stop. It just keeps going in the third sheet. And so it goes very, very quickly. Now we're going to have a change. Remember the next sheet, it read the barcode. It's now making adjustments. This is the Manuset job. And now the machine is going to be ready to run those sheets. And now and you'll notice we have an Aerocut Prime, which comes with a conveyor belt. You can program the conveyor belt to move the jobs along in different lengths for easy retrieval from the operator. And well, that went so quickly, we're now on the third job. Completely different job, flex mode with jump perfs, and away it goes. It's already made its adjustment, read the barcode. And so the ultimate efficiency of being able to program such 3 different jobs, not only create the artwork, program the machine, and cut the jobs. I clocked that in about 17 minutes, and that's with us explaining everything as we go along. Really an unbelievable workflow. Let me step in front of the camera so I can just give you an idea. Because as you can clearly see, this is one of my favorite jobs. We have, it seems so simplistic, but we have the creases that were put in. And then the key is this locking tab, which you can do with that jump perf. Again, that's a function of the Prime having the ability to stop and start the perfing unit. And actually, you can also do that as a cross perf. We have a whole session on flex mode showing just some of the very creative applications our customers have come up with in the flex mode job. Well, I'm hoping that gave you a very good overview of the system. We have a few moments left. If we have any questions, you can guide them to the, well, you can actually turn your audio on if you like and just, we can hear your questions. Or if you've, let me check with our moderator, see if we had any questions that needed answering. I can see the moderator is typing in some answers as well. Let me go ahead and take a look. Let's see what, if we had any other questions. Okay, well, it looks like we're all set. And of course, if you do find you have questions, please feel free to write us at sales@lightrod.com. I should have mentioned that the hardware, of course, is sold by MBM Corporation. Should you have questions on pricing or functionality of the hardware, please feel free to reach out to your local MBM dealer in your area, or your regional sales manager, or simply call their 800 number. Their staff is great there in North Charleston, South Carolina, where they are located. Well, we appreciate you joining our session. We actually have added, by popular request, we added one more session. This was supposed to be our last session, but we will be talking about, you can kind of see that the video guy wants to glance over here, we'll give a plug for Friday's demonstration, which we'll be talking about the very unique VR cut ready guillotine cutters with a unique interface to be able to have any personnel operate your guillotine cutter perfectly. So we encourage you to sign up for that session or watch any of the past videos that are on our YouTube channel. You can also click on past sessions and it will link you over to those videos. Thanks again for joining us. We'll hopefully see you on Friday. Happy Veterans Day.